here because of the fascinating collision between the purity of the Bauhaus and Britain in the 1930s. And in writing about it, about the Gain House, Marcel Breuer said that when he came to Britain, he had to forget his Bauhaus work and actually work with modern British conditions, which I think is an absolutely wonderful phrase, and it gives you some indication of the extraordinary change it meant coming to Britain.
I was asked to speak about Breuer at the Bauhaus, so that's why I'm talking about this subject. My name is Christopher Wilk. I am called Keeper of Furniture, Textiles and Fashion at the V&A, and once upon a time I wrote a book about the furniture and interiors of Marcel Breuer. But conveniently for that subject, the history of the Bauhaus, at least from its second year, 1920, until Marcel Breuer left in 1928, can actually be told, at least one aspect of it, through Breuer's career as a student, then as an associate journeyman, and then from 1925 as a junior master of the Bauhaus. He was a well-known, well-established furniture designer of great repute, who came out of the Bauhaus. And for people who were interested in modernism, as Crofton Gain was, Breuer was a very famous figure. He invented modern tubular steel furniture. His furniture furnished the Bauhaus itself. And so with Gain's interest in modernism, it was natural that once Breuer came to Britain, he'd want to try to make some connection.
Gain will have met Breuer at the Law Road Flats in London in 1935 when Breuer first came to London. Breuer was looking for work. Gain was very interested in promoting modernist furniture design in the West Country and through his own business, and was already selling work from Finmar and Thonet, and saw the opportunity undoubtedly to both, I guess, help Breuer by offering him work, but also to bring a leading designer into Bristol to work directly with him.
Gain acted as a patron to Breuer by commissioning him first to do all the interiors of his house.
And say, okay, trash it, rip it out, do what you like to it.
He took it on and he redesigned the whole interior of this house in Bristol. Crofton Gain said, make it wonderful inside and I can show it to people.
Breuer duly did so, lining the living walls with plywood, lining the dining room wall with corrugated asbestos, and designing a large amount of new furniture which Gaines made for it.
Images of his house, published in the Architectural Review, were circulated very widely. Then he commissioned Breuer to design the pavilion for the Royal Agricultural Show, which was a first-rate piece of architecture.
Arguably the most significant collaboration is on the Gain Pavilion for the Royal Show, where again Breuer was undoubtedly given a free rein and a roughly 50 feet square site to build 4 room spaces, a living room, 2 bedrooms and a study.
It was the pavilion that actually was the first time he used this kind of rough stone natural walling material without doing anything to it, just a great pillar of it, as far as I can see, without any foundations, so you couldn't rebuild it now. But that was the first time he ever did that, to just contrast rough vernacular walling and plain sheets of glass, and just very, very, very simple spaces and materials in a very modernist way.
Must have been quite a shocking structure, particularly in the context of an agricultural show. I mean, the primary activity of the show, the small bits of film that remain of it, are largely to do with leading prize bulls round rings and displaying farm machinery.
And it's not there anymore because It rained for 4 weeks and then they took it down. So it's just in all our heads.
But Breuer felt that it was one of his most personally seminal buildings, and undoubtedly that experimentation with using traditional materials or local materials was the thing that is very, very clearly seen in his later architectural practice in the United States.
He followed Gropius around. Gropius was his senior. He looked up to him. And in the beginning in America they had the partnership, architecture partnership, but Breuer quite early on walked away from that really to set up his own practice.
He built a house in New Canaan, which was a lovely house. There's a gorgeous picture of him just sitting there looking the coolest man in the world. But if you look at the picture of the outside, you'll see little walls on either side taking it into the hillside. Everybody in America says, oh, that is the American tradition of blah, 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 blah. But it's not. It's actually come from his little pavilion in Bristol.
Crofton Gain must have been quite an important person in his life, because in 1952 he came back to Europe again and he did the tour of Central Europe. He visited Switzerland and France and Germany, and he came here to Britain. And he made the effort of driving to Bristol to see Crofton Gain, who was by then an old man, and I guess not important for him from a business point of view, but I think he felt a personal connection with him still.
There's something that really endured about their relationship. And in the University of Syracuse in America are all the papers, Marcel Breuer's papers. There's a whole huge archive. And in among it, if you type in Crofton Gain, you come up with the letters that Crofton Gain wrote to him and he wrote back. And even after Breuer moved to America very quickly in the end, even after that, he and Crofton Gain kept up a dialogue, and towards the end of his life they were still talking to each other.